The 2026 World Cup was supposed to be the biggest tournament in football history, and after 2.5 weeks of group stage football across 16 stadiums in 3 countries, it's finally producing its first real verdict. 48 teams walked in. By tonight, the group stage will be finished, and only 32 will walk out into the brand new round of 32. But here's what makes this particular World Cup's group stage genuinely unlike any other in the tournament's history. So what's actually happened? Who's already through? Who's already gone home? And what's still hanging in the balance as the final whistles approach? Let's break it all down. Start with the background, because understanding the format itself is essential before any of the results make sense. This is the first World Cup ever to feature 48 teams, expanded from the 32-team format that had been in place since 1998. 12 groups of 4 nations each, with every team playing 3 group matches between June 11th and June 27th. Under the old format, only the top 2 from each group advanced. This year, FIFA introduced something brand new specifically to accommodate the larger field. The top 2 from each of the 12 groups still advance automatically, but they're now joined by the 8 best third-place teams from across the entire tournament, all funneled into a newly created round of 32 that has never existed in World Cup history before. This matters because it's fundamentally changed how every team approached their final group matches. Finishing third, which would have meant instant elimination under the old format, can now still be enough to continue, provided your results measure up favorably against the other 11 third-placed finishers once every group's matches are complete. FIFA ranks those third-place teams using the same basic tiebreaker logic familiar from any domestic league table. Points first, then goal difference, then goals scored, then a team conduct score based on cards picked up, and finally FIFA World Ranking if everything else is still tied. Here's where things get interesting, because 9 of the 12 groups have already finished all 3 rounds of matches, and their final standings are now fully confirmed. Group A is settled. Mexico topped the group with a perfect 9 points from 3 wins, capped by a 3-0 win over Czechia in their final match. South Korea finished second after beating South Africa 1-0 on the final match day, edging out Czechia on goal difference for the automatic qualification spot. Czechia finished third, and South Africa are eliminated. Mexico's co-host status and their flawless record make them one of the form teams of this entire tournament heading into the knockouts. Group B is also complete. Switzerland topped the group, with co-hosts Canada finishing second to secure their own place in the round of 32 on home soil. Bosnia and Herzegovina finished third with a respectable points total and goal difference that puts them in genuine contention for one of the 8 third-place berths. Qatar finished bottom of the group and have been eliminated. Group C wrapped up with Brazil winning the group after beating Scotland 3-0 in their final match, while Morocco secured second place and a round of 32 meeting with the Netherlands. Scotland finished third, but their tournament hangs by a thread. With 3 points and a goal difference of -3, they are right on the projected cutoff line for the third-place qualification table, and will need the rest of Saturday's results to fall their way. Haiti, despite a genuinely resilient World Cup return after decades away from the tournament, have been eliminated. Group D has concluded with a genuine shock. Turkey beat the United States 3-2 in a thriller on the final match day, a result that eliminated the co-hosts from automatic qualification contention and sent Turkey through as group winners instead. Australia held Paraguay to a scoreless draw to secure second place and their own spot in the round of 32. Paraguay finished third, while the United States, despite the disappointing finish to their group campaign, still have a path back into the tournament, depending on how the third-place table shakes out, since their group stage performance left them in genuine contention heading into the final reckoning. Group E is finished, and it produced one of the group stage's most memorable upsets. Germany had already secured top spot in the group before their final match, which made Ecuador's 2-1 victory over them on the last match day a temporary footnote results-wise, but still a genuinely stunning result against one of the tournament favorites. Ivory Coast's 2-0 win over Curaçao locked up second place for the West African side.
Ecuador's win wasn't enough to leapfrog into the automatic qualification spots, but it was more than enough to secure third place and a strong position in the race for one of the 8 third-place berths. Curaçao, the smallest nation ever to qualify for a World Cup, finished bottom with a single point from the tournament. But their draw against Ecuador earlier in the group stage will be remembered as one of the genuine feel-good stories of this World Cup's opening weeks.
Group F has concluded with the Netherlands winning the group outright after a 3-1 win over Tunisia in their final match. Japan secured second place with a 1-1 draw against Sweden on the same day, doing just enough to hold off the Swedes for the automatic qualification spot. Sweden finished third but remain alive, sitting with 4 points, a total that puts them in a considerably stronger position than several other third-place teams still waiting to learn their fate. Tunisia have been eliminated. Group G concluded with Belgium and Iran playing out a scoreless draw in their final match, a result that worked in Egypt's favor. Egypt's 3-1 win over New Zealand on the same day secured second place for the Pharaohs, sending them through to the round of 32 alongside Belgium, who topped the group. Iran finished third, and New Zealand have been eliminated. Group H has wrapped up with France winning the group emphatically, taking maximum 9 points from 3 matches and finishing with a +8 goal differential. The kind of dominant group stage form that's made them one of the tournament favorites heading into the knockouts. Norway secured second place after rotating their squad heavily in their final match, a deliberate decision given they'd already done enough to secure their qualification regardless of that specific result. In the genuine win-or-go-home finale between the 2 remaining sides, Senegal thrashed Iraq 5-0, a result that puts the Lions of Teranga in a commanding position for one of the 8 third-place spots, even though their exact qualification and next opponent are still being finalized. Iraq have been eliminated. But that's only part of the story, because 3 groups are still being decided as Saturday's matches conclude, and their final shape isn't yet known. Group I has already produced its headline result, with Argentina securing top spot after beating Austria thanks to a record-breaking brace from Lionel Messi, while Algeria's 2-1 win over Jordan in the same round of matches confirmed Argentina's group win and eliminated Jordan entirely. What remains to be decided, in matches kicking off Saturday evening, is which of Algeria or Austria finishes second and advances automatically, with the loser, or a draw, potentially leaving both sides waiting nervously to discover whether they've done enough to sneak into the third-place qualification table instead. Group K is still live as well, with Portugal facing Colombia and DR Congo facing Uzbekistan in matches still to be completed Saturday. Going into that final round of fixtures, qualification had already been confirmed for Portugal, with Egypt, England, Ghana, and Paraguay separately locking up their own places elsewhere in the tournament. But Group K's own second place and third place picture remains unresolved until those final whistles blow. And Group L is the tightest of them all heading into its final match day. England entered the deciding round of fixtures sitting atop the group on goal differential alone, with Ghana and Croatia bunched closely behind them. England can secure the group outright with victory over Panama, while Ghana and Croatia face off in a fixture that could determine first place between them if England slip up, with even the losing side in that specific match potentially still alive in the race for a third-place berth. Panama have already been mathematically eliminated from automatic qualification, but could still play spoiler in their match against England. This matters because of how genuinely unpredictable the closing stages of this group phase have become, in a way that simply didn't exist under the old 32-team format. Teams that would have been comfortably eliminated finishing third are instead glued to other countries' scorelines happening in completely different cities, knowing their own tournament survival might depend entirely on results they have no control over whatsoever. Let's make this human for a moment, because behind every qualification scenario are real fans and players experiencing something genuinely new in World Cup history.
Picture being a Scotland supporter right now, watching your team finish their own group matches days ago, only to spend the following days anxiously tracking results from Group A, Group D, and several others, knowing your nation's first ever appearance in a World Cup knockout round depends on outcomes you have absolutely no influence over whatsoever. That specific kind of suspended, second-hand tension is something no previous World Cup squad or fan base has ever had to experience in quite this way. The same applies in different forms across several other nations right now. United States supporters, who watched their co-host nation lose its automatic qualification spot to Turkey on the final match day, are left in the unusual position of needing favorable results elsewhere just to keep their home tournament alive, a genuinely strange experience for a host nation to navigate. Sweden's fans, by contrast, find themselves in a considerably calmer position with 4 points already banked, watching the third-place table with far less anxiety than counterparts in groups where every tiebreaker might matter. And for supporters of teams like Curaçao and Haiti, whose tournaments are already over, there's a different kind of pride in simply having competed credibly on this stage at all, regardless of the final group table position. For players themselves, this new format has added genuine psychological weight to matches that, under the old rules, would have meant nothing once elimination was mathematically confirmed. Several coaches across the tournament have spoken about deliberately adjusting their tactical approach in final group matches, specifically because a third-place finish remained worth fighting for, rather than simply playing out a meaningless fixture once automatic qualification was no longer possible. That's produced some genuinely committed, high-intensity football in matches that historically would have seen heavy squad rotation and reduced stakes once a team's group position was already settled. So where does this leave things as Saturday's remaining matches conclude? The round of 32 begins next Sunday, June 28th, with Canada facing South Africa as the historic opening fixture of this entirely new knockout round, before a fuller schedule of matches runs through July 3rd across stadiums in the United States and Mexico. Once Group I, Group K, and Group L are finally settled later today, FIFA will be able to confirm the complete list of 8 third-place qualifiers, finalizing a bracket that's been partially visible for days. What do you think? Does the new third-place qualification format make the group stage more dramatic, or does it dilute the achievement of finishing in the traditional top 2? And which team still waiting on today's results are you personally hoping sneaks through? I'd be genuinely curious to hear where you land. Drop your predictions in the comments below.